Welcome to Life It with DVD. That's me. I am back after a 1 day hiatus because, as usual, something popped up and there was a bit of a crisis yesterday. What happened was that I was in the bathroom, you know, right before I took a shower, and I was at the sink, had the sink on, and as I'm looking at the sink, all of a sudden the water starts draining, and it just starts going back down the pipe. I can hear it going down the pipe, and I look around, the lights are still on, and I'm like, okay, that can't be good. Because the power doesn't mean, it means the power is still on. So why is the pipe draining? And my first thought was we were talking about it the other day that we had a water heater that was almost 20 years old and it was time for it to get replaced. About time. So that was my first thought. So anyway, call out to my wife, hey, we need to go in the basement and check out what's going on. We run down, turn off the water pump in the house, the valve to the water pump, yet we still hear water. So it was, above freezing and concerning to hear water flowing, especially after we had turned the valve off. So we run into the other room. It's all flooded. And, we're looking around. We run into the electrical box room, and I look in there, and there is just a massive gushing pipe at an elbow joint that comes in from the house, out to the well, and then that pipe runs over to our water pump. But yeah, it's gushing. So in my panic, because I had just put in a new floor, a few months ago when we moved in. I was just the worst case scenario. I'm just like, oh my god, this thing is gonna have to get ripped up. All the work that I had done. I'm not a floor or anything, and I did it myself. I was really proud of the work I had done, and I was like, oh my god, it's ruined. So the first thing I did was I ran over the pipe. I shoved my knee into the pipe, and I could see that it had rusted. There was like a rusted area, like a half-inch thick, and half-inch wide and an inch thick, or half-inch by an inch, right? And I threw my knee into that. It was just rusted. It blew out. It was gushing water everywhere. I tried to call my brother and then a family friend to try to figure out what to do, how to patch this up. And then as I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, what do we do? I'm like, throw the electrical switch. So my wife did that, and that stopped it, thankfully. So the damage was done. There's about an inch of water that had flooded probably 80% of the basement. So as soon as that happened, I went through the basement. My wife called the insurance company. I had started bringing all of the stuff that was on the floor, boxes and whatnot. I just started bringing it outside and basically trying to get everything away from the water that I could before it, got soaked it all up or got more damaged. Thankfully, we had a big carpet in the middle of the floor, and that started soaking up a lot of water, which was really helpful. And there's also a piece of memory foam that I had in the corner saved for another project, and I was like, you know what? I'm just throwing this down. So I basically used the memory foam as a massive sponge, and I started ripping it into smaller pieces as time went on because it was easier to manage. But memory foam was basically a great sponge for squeegeeing it out into a bucket. But I got all the stuff off the floor. I got it out of the closets. I took it outside. Took it upstairs. and basically just tried to soak up the water as fast as I could. And we're really lucky because if this pipe had burst when we weren't in the house, um, the entire basement could have been filled because I don't know if it would have turned off at all. And with where the water was, it would have flooded the entire electrical room and probably destroyed the electrical wiring in the house. I don't know. I'm not an electrician or a plumber, but it could have been really bad, especially since it happened so quickly, and it was only a minute or two that it was flooding. It had burst open and was flooding like that. Um, so anyway, yeah, we got a plumber to finally come. We were going to have a restoration company come and pump out the water with a wet vac, but we I looked at our deductible and I'm like, you know, by the time the restoration company gets here, because I put the floor in, I was like, I don't think this is actually going to be worth it. So called an audible on the restoration company. I'm like, cancel them because it's just like it's not even going to meet our deductible. The insurance company's just going to charge us more, and I had already soaked up the majority of the stuff across the basement. So the plumbers came, they replaced the elbow joint, easy, um, and then they helped me lift the carpet and take the carpet out. So this happened around 2 o'clock, and probably I had most of it soaked up within maybe 3 hours. Just with the sponge, the carpet, taking the carpet out, and just and getting some fans in there to have the fans circulate the air. Um, so after that, we got a wet vac from a friend, a family friend, and that helped a lot because then I was able to vacuum out the crevices in the vinyl plank flooring that we had. Um, I also had an underlayment, a moisture underlayment, underneath the vinyl flooring, and my concern is that this electrical closet was it didn't have any of the flooring in it, so it I don't know at this point still, but it could have gone under the moisture underlayment. But I think most of it, because of the pressure from the vinyl flooring, got on top of everything and flooded it out. So I'm not exactly sure about mold damage or anything like that. The underlayment and the vinyl flooring is both waterproof as well as mold. I think resistant or proof. I'm not exactly sure yet, uh, since I haven't read through everything. The main priority has been getting the water up as much as possible. So the one other step that I think has been critical so far was last night I just, besides vacuuming with the wet vac, I I went along the floor and I put baking soda down and I rubbed it into all the cracks and crevices along the vinyl flooring, that especially the ones that had a lot of moisture that you could see that it was sucking out. The baking soda hydrogenic. So basically, it sucks up all the water, draws moisture particles to it, and it's also a deodorizer. So there were some hints of a cat piss from our previous owners, that when things got wet, you would like smell faint areas of that. We got a separate cleaning product for that, in different areas of the basement before we put the flooring down. But there was still some of it that was in areas we couldn't even reach. So anyway, baking soda doing an excellent job of drying things out. What I am also trying is putting a plastic sheet down over the areas that had the most moisture that was kind of pooling to a certain area. putting a plastic sheet down, a space heater over it, and then almost using it like a still to pull the moisture, any moisture that is underneath the plank still, to pull it out and up into the baking soda that's still down there. So that's just an idea that might work, might not. We'll see. We evaluated some other options for drilling holes potentially into like the knots of the vinyl flooring, and using I forget what it was called, but it's basically compressed air. You push the air into it, and it basically dries out the underside of that area. That was an expensive option, but I know you can rent it some places as well. But we didn't go through with that just because it would have been more expensive, and we figured it might be worth trying, just the baking soda to start. I still might have to pull up all of the flooring. I've kind of resigned myself to that at this point, but I don't, we'll see. Because I also got a moisture reader to go around and check certain areas and see how much moisture is compared to the areas that didn't get wet, and see if I can possibly, if we can dry it out enough to where there's not a difference between the dry area and the areas that had a significant amount of flooding on them. So what else? We obviously have evaluated quite a bit of options. I think going forward, what we're looking at right now, we got the carpet out, we shampooed that, we've hung it out to dry. Thankfully, we've had a warm few days. It hasn't been freezing. My gosh, could have been so much worse if it was cold. But so we're definitely thankful for the warm weather and the sun that has been coming through the past few days, because opened the back doors to the basement, and we have the fans that are using it as a circulation method around the stairs, basically. And so the next step really is we are going to leave the baking soda on for 24 hours. So that'll take us until tonight. And then we're going to wet vac up or vacuum up the baking soda, and we're just going to go around again and see, how much moisture might be under the underlayment or under the vinyl and or the underlayment, and just see, kind of what is remaining. And maybe we will do another round of baking soda, depending on how it works or how it the results. But ultimately, we're just going trial and error and figuring it out as we go. So my wrists are sore, my knees are sore from crawling around on the floor. The past 24 hours, a significant amount, and getting the baking soda in there and using the wet vac. We're also getting a dehumidifier that we're going to borrow and put that in there to see if that makes a significant difference with drawing the moisture out as well. Because really the main thing is we do not want mold. Now, despite all of this stuff being mold resistant or proof, doesn't guarantee you that it's not going to happen. So we're just going to see. We probably will do some tests for mold as well eventually, but we're going to see how dry we can get it first. Obviously, I don't want to take up the floor because it looks good. I don't want to take up the molding if possible. I think we used waterproof primer on that stuff, so that should be good. But ultimately, the main thing is it smells better than yesterday, and it's dry. So the floor is dry, doesn't stink, and all within 24 hours, we've been able to fix some of this. But crisis averted, we'll see. I mean, one of the plumbers was telling us yesterday when we were talking to him how they had somebody that had a burst pipe in their basement, and they went down to the basement, and the water was up to chest level, and they're like, "Well, we got to get it out somehow," and I guess they just opened the back doors, and it all came flooding out. So pretty wild stuff. We're first-time homeowners, and this hasn't happened to us, so it literally felt like a crisis movie situation where I'm just fighting water in the pipes and trying to do everything I can to, prevent it from coming out. I'm like, oh my god, how do I patch this? Until I realized, I'm like, just shut off the power, right? Um, but anyway, I don't know if this helps anybody. I will label it appropriately, sharing my experience. There's nothing we really could have done otherwise. You know, the rusted pipe area was kind of out of sight from the rest of the piping. So, you know, we didn't frequent that area. I mean, I completely forgot there was a pipe in the electrical room, which is a whole nother thing of like why is it designed this way? Really quite bizarre. But yeah, it's kind of baffling that that was designed that way. But asked the plumber, to look at everything else. Apparently, it looked fine. No other rusted pipes. So anyway, I hope things, that nothing else happens from this. I was more concerned about pipes bursting, when it was colder a while ago, but fortunately, this happened while it was warm, and we were here, so we were able to get to it right away. Otherwise, it could have been a much worse situation with much more damage. And we really would have had to get the insurance company involved in that case. Anyway, I thought I would share this. Wanted to get a video up. This will be in lieu of the regularly scheduled program, I guess. I mean, the downside too is that the workout videos I was going to do, um, I had to move everything. I had to move the weights and all the stuff I had set up. So it might be another few days before I get that out there, sadly. But as always, got to show up, keep pushing. Do what you can. I mean, right now this is kind of a triage situation for us, and yeah, maybe I'll make a more specific video about this on this situation and what worked and what didn't. If people let me know, if they'd like to hear about this or not. Anyway, like, subscribe if you could. It'd mean a lot to me. And until next time, see ya.